Financial analysts are now saying that we could be on the verge of a global recession of cataclysmic proportions. Yes, it sounds terrifying, but apparently not for the richest man in the world. In a shocking turn of events, Musk has admitted that he has a bring-it-on attitude about this global recession, and that it could actually be a good thing for all of us. Okay, so now I know what you're thinking. Is Musk out of his mind for saying this? Well, it turns out he's got a pretty solid reason for his somewhat outlandish statement. The Tesla boss was having his usual tete-a-tete with some of his followers on Twitter when one of them posed a very interesting question to Musk. The user wrote, "Do you still think we're approaching a recession?" And right out the gate, Musk responded with an intriguing flurry of words. Yes, but this is actually a good thing. It has been raining money on fools for too long. Some bankruptcies need to happen. Also, all the COVID stay-at-home stuff has tricked people into thinking that you don't actually need to work hard. Rude awakening inbound. But Musk's critics believe that this could simply be tough talk from a man who's worth more than $200 billion. Let's also not forget that Musk has profited handsomely from handouts from his billionaire friends who have helped him grow his fortune. So what does he even know about a recession? And why should we even bother listening to a man who happens to be the 1% of the actual 1%? Well, Musk believes that his long history of overcoming tough economic storms and rude awakenings is enough reason to pay attention to the success he's generating today. And a good case in point is Tesla. You see, when Musk first invested in the company in 2004, Tesla was nothing but a mere startup with a pipe dream of becoming the largest EV manufacturer in the world. Musk gambled a considerable amount of his fortune and pumped a mind-blowing $6.5 million into the project. During its maiden years, things were super slow at Tesla. In fact, it took the company 4 years to roll out its first product, the Tesla Roadster, which at the time was teased by Musk's critics as being a knockoff of the popular Lotus Elise. The Roadster had a debut market price of about $80,000, which was nowhere near the region of being pocket-friendly. This figure even reflected in the car's international sales, as the company managed to sell only 2,450 units of the EV that year. Thankfully, in 2010, Tesla received a federal stimulus package in the form of a $465 million loan from the government, which the company then used to design and manufacture its groundbreaking EV, the Tesla Model S. Fast forward to today, and Tesla is one of the leading EV manufacturers supporting clean energy initiatives. Now, back to the question, why does Musk believe that a recession will do us some good? Well, he argues that companies that have a negative cash flow won't survive this upcoming global recession, and their debts will eventually reduce the overconsumption of resources. A follow-up question from another Twitter handle, Dodge Army General, asked Elon Musk to give a definitive time frame about the length of this recession. How long do you believe this recession will persist, Elon? You called it. Just curious, could this one last years? To which Musk responded, based on past experience, about 12 to 18 months. Companies that are inherently negative cash flow, i.e. value destroyers, need to die so that they stop consuming resources. According to financial analysts from the New York Post, the United States economy is on the verge of entering a massive recession that's been stirred by high rates of inflation, skyrocketing gas prices, and supply chain disruption caused by COVID-19. In fact, recent figures published by the U.S. government show that America's GDP, which is essentially a basic measure of goods and services produced by a country, has decreased by up to 1.5% in only the first quarter of 2022. While it might not seem massive, it certainly translates to billions of dollars being lost by thousands of businesses across the entire country. It's also a hard pill to swallow if you consider that America's GDP had recorded a 6.9% increase in the fourth quarter of 2021. Musk also went on to say that when there's too much prosperity in a country, its economy experiences a misallocation of human capital, and that's when you start seeing people do silly things that are in no way useful to their fellow human beings. He even jokes that it's high time we experience some sort of economic enema that could potentially clear out the pipes, in reference to resource-draining companies. And sort of the bullshit companies go bankrupt, and the ones that are doing useful products are prosperous. And there's certainly a lesson here if one is making a useful product and has a company that makes sense. Make sure you're not running things too close to the edge from a capital standpoint. They've got some capital reserves to last through irrational times. But this isn't the only tough stance that Elon Musk is taking on the upcoming recession. It looks like Musk is pointing a large finger at President Joe Biden's administration as the reason why we're in this mess in the first place. This administration, it doesn't seem to get a lot done. The Trump administration, leaving Trump aside, there were a lot of people in the administration who were effective at getting things done. Musk was particularly critical of Biden on how poorly his administration implements policies on inflation. The obvious reason for inflation is the government printed a zillion amount of more money than it had. The government can't just issue checks for an excessive revenue without there being inflation. Velocity of money held constant. This is not like super complicated. But this isn't the first time that Musk has been critical of Biden's administration. Earlier this year, Musk labeled the president as a damp sock puppet in human form, criticizing his administration for failing to invite Tesla to an EV summit and choosing to praise Ford and General Motors over Tesla. Yet, despite Musk's scuffle with President Biden, Musk has been predicting a global recession for quite a while now. In fact, in December of 2021, Musk mentioned that the next recession would hit the world in just under 2 years. Okay, so Musk is by no means an economist, but his sentiments about an upcoming recession are also shared by other high-profile financial analysts, including former Goldman Sachs CEO Lloyd Blankfein. While speaking to CBS, Blankfein made it clear that there was a very, very high risk of a recession, and it could hit the U.S. economy as early as 2023. Plus, just a few days ago, U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell raised concerns that the economy could be heading for a downturn after the Federal Reserve raised interest rates at the beginning of May. He strongly hinted that Russia's invasion of Ukraine, as well as supply chain snarl-ups, could be the reason behind the upcoming recession. As for Musk, he still insists that this global recession could last for more than a year. A downturn for that long could see the end of companies that generate a negative cash flow and waste a lot of the world's natural resources. But as the CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, and The Boring Company, why does Musk still maintain that a recession could be beneficial to his companies? Aren't they at risk too? Well, he sees it this way. Reallocation of capital is one of the biggest benefits of a recession. And he's not wrong. Even Andrew Mellon, who served as the Treasury Secretary under Harding, Coolidge, and Hoover, echoed these same beliefs in the 1930s. Liquidate labor, liquidate stocks, liquidate the farmers, liquidate real estate. Purge the rottenness out of the system. High costs of living and high living will come down, and enterprising people will pick up the wrecks from less competent people, Mellon wrote in his memoirs. Yes, capital does get wasted during times of economic boom. That's why each of us has a faint memory of a business that just didn't make a lot of sense. Or what about the several startups that hit the market during a bull period only to find them struggling to hit their original revenue projections today? This is usually a telltale sign that a business model wasn't as sound as it was marketed to be. But as much as recessions do reset capital allocation, they're also very painful because they contribute to business failure and rising unemployment. And let's look no further than the Great Depression of the 1930s, which is considered to be one of the worst recessions in modern history. In fact, it was so awful that from 1929 to 1932, unemployment rose from 3% to a mind-blowing 24%. It was so traumatic that nearly 80 years later, former Federal Reserve Chair Ben Bernanke officially apologized for the horrible economic downturn. Regarding the Great Depression, we did it. We're very sorry, and we won't do it again. But Musk's predictions of an economic downturn could also be having a negative ripple effect on the shares of his EV company, Tesla. In fact, automakers in general tend to bear the brunt of a recession through their stock values. And as you can see, Tesla shares, along with stocks from automakers, have been behaving as if a recession is right around the corner. In just over a year, shares of GM and Ford Motors have dropped by 35%, which is one of their worst recordings in recent times. This is no surprise because in today's market, cars are considered big purchases, which means that they're usually financed by investors. And during times of economic downturn, investors tend to panic and sell their car stocks in a hurry as they worry about the future. That's why automaker stocks like Tesla will most likely continue to see a downturn all the way into 2023. That is, unless affirmative action can be taken now by the government. However, it looks like even billionaires like Musk are going to feel the crippling bite of this upcoming recession. For now, we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? But from the sound of things, it looks like this recession is just a ticking time bomb waiting to happen. Honestly, not the way we wanted to close off, but until next time, stay safe and welcome to the future.